Henry. Hi, Cora. Hi, Bonnie. Right now, sorry, I'm going to read Mr. Putter and Tabby Bake the Cake. I've never heard of Mr. Putter and Tabby, have you? Well, if you like this book, this will be fun because there are many of them at the Islesford Library. But this one is called Mr. Putter and Tabby Bake the Cake, and it's by Cynthia Rylant. Oh, and it's a chapter book. Look, there are 4 chapters. A Good Cake, No Pans, Mary Sue, and Something Airy. Chapter 1, A Good Cake. It was winter time. Mr. Putter and his fine cat Tabby sat at their window every night to watch the snow come down. They watched and dreamed. Mr. Putter dreamed of the big red sled he rode as a boy. He dreamed of snowmen big as a house. Tabby dreamed too. She dreamed of the snowdrifts she walked on as a kitten. She dreamed of deep tunnels through the white yards. Mr. Putter and Tabby were old now. They had a lot to dream about. That is why they loved wintertime. They also loved wintertime because wintertime brought Christmas. Mr. Putter loved to give Christmas presents. He started thinking about Christmas presents in July. He liked to think of what he could give to the grocer, to the librarian, to the postman. Mr. Putter also had to think of what he could give his neighbor, Mrs. Teaberry. This was the hardest of all. He usually had to think about this all the way to December. Mrs. Teaberry liked strange things. She liked coconuts made into monkey heads. She liked salt shakers that walked across the table. She liked little dresses for her teapots. She even liked fruitcake. So Mr. Putter could live with the monkey heads and walking salt shakers and dressed up teapots. But Mr. Putter could not believe that Mrs. Teaberry liked fruitcake. He could not believe that anyone liked fruitcake. Do any of you guys like fruitcake? Have you ever had it? It's usually only made once a year at Christmas time, and it's one of those things people either like or they really don't like. Not a fruitcake person. Grandpa, he likes fruitcake. Every Christmas, Mrs. Teaberry ate mounds of fruitcake. It worried Mr. Putter. This winter, it was worrying him a lot. He thought Mrs. Teaberry should have a good cake for Christmas, not a fruitcake that could break her toe if she dropped it. A good cake, a light and airy cake. And one night, as he and Tabby sat dreaming in their snowy window, that is what he decided to give Mrs. Teaberry for Christmas. Mr. Putter would bake her a Christmas cake. It would be a cinch. You know what it means? It would be a cinch. It means it'd be really easy. That'd be easy. That's a cinch. It's a funny word, isn't it? Cinch. Well, chapter 2, No Pans. The cake was not a cinch. In the first place, Mr. Putter did not know how to bake a cake. He could bake instant muffins, he could bake instant popovers, but he had never baked a cake, and he didn't know how. In the second place, Mr. Putter had no pans. He had muffin pans, he had popover pans, but he had no cake pans. If he baked a cake, it would have to be in a shoe. What? Or maybe in a flower pot. What? Or even in a hat? But not in a cake pan because he didn't have one. And in the third place, Mr. Putter had no cookbook. He had books on seaweed. He had books on clouds. He had books on Chinese trees. But he had no cookbooks. Mr. Putter thought about no cookbooks, no cake pans, and the fact that he did not bake cakes. He said to Tabby, maybe for Christmas, Mrs. Teaberry would like a nice cup of tea and a card. Chapter 3, Mary Sue. 1 week before Christmas, Mr. Putter and Tabby took a trip to the sweet shop. It was owned by a woman famous for her cakes. She baked cakes with names like Strawberry Watermelon Pumpkin Apple Brownie Surprise. Her name was Mary Sue. And if anyone could teach Mr. Putter to bake a cake, it would be she. Mr. Putter told her his story. He wanted to bake a Christmas cake, he said, something light, something airy, something that would not break a person's toe. Mary Sue listened carefully, and she took good notes, and then she began to sell him things. She sold Mr. Putter 7 bowls, and she sold Mr. Putter 3 sifters. She sold Mr. Putter teaspoons, 5 cups, 10 spoons. So I'm reading sideways, so it's hard to see. She sold Mr. Putter 10 spoons, 5 cups, 2 spatulas, a roll of wax paper, and a Christmas tree pan. And then she sold him an Easy Baker cookbook and sent him out the door. There's the Christmas tree pan. There's a whisk. You guys probably know these tools. Do you know this is a flour sifter? Mr. Putter had spent $100, and he still didn't have any flour. Chapter 4, Something Airy. On Christmas Eve, Mr. Putter had everything he needed. He had flour, sugar, eggs. He had spoons, bowls, sifters. He had a cookbook. He had a pan. And he had a good cat to keep him company. Mr. Putter baked all night long, but the first cake fell. When they say a cake falls, it means it doesn't rise to the top of the pan. It sinks. So that's what happens when a cake falls. His second cake was stuck in the pan. He couldn't get it out. His third cake caught on fire. By the time he baked his fourth cake, it was Christmas morning. Mr. Putter's eyes were droopy and his face was saggy. He was moving very slowly. But Mr. Putter did not give up, and by 9 o'clock in the morning, he had made the most beautiful Christmas cake in all the world. It was light, it was airy, and it would not break a person's toe. He woke up Tabby, and together they took the cake over to Mrs. Teaberry. Mrs. Teaberry was delighted. She was thrilled. She was patient because as soon as Mr. Putter sat down in her chair, he fell asleep. And she had to wait 12 hours before she could cut her cake. She wouldn't have any without Mr. Putter, and that's how long he slept. I guess that's what happens when you stay up all night baking cakes. But when he finally woke up, Mrs. Teaberry was there with Tabby and her own dog Zeke, and they ate cake and drank tea and watched the snow fall all night long. The end. Did you like that one? I think that was fun. Well, I have the next one to read, but I think I'll do that on the next taping. So, love you guys. Get ready. Tune in for the very next book, which is going to be Mr. Putter and Tabby Spill the Beans.